Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our latest episode of AI and You. I'm joined, of course, my name is Jeff DeVerter with Rackspace Technology, and I'm joined, of course, by my better looking and more intelligent partner in crime, Ben Blankera. Ben, welcome to the program.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning. How are you today?
It's a good day, man. You have been burning the streets up in Ohio. The world is sort of interested in AI these days, aren't they?
Kind of a thing. It's kind of a thing. But what's interesting is there's a lot of folks that are excited, but there's finding examples of AI in the wild that is making a difference.
Yeah.
That's proven to be a little bit more challenging. So I'm really excited about today's show about AI in the wild, Gen AI in the wild that is making a difference.
From pilot to production, because if you talk to,
Mhm.
you talk to us, you talk to AWS, Azure, Google, any of them, last year everybody saw a ton of pilot projects, but there's been a
Mhm.
challenge in getting some of those pushed into production. So here we've got one that we can talk about today. But before we do that, I
Mhm.
thought it might be prudent for us to talk about this model that we put in place here at Rackspace called responsible AI. Now, responsible AI really has three core pillars that it stands on. Ben, why don't you take us through those?
Yeah, so we really look at three different things. The first pillar is AI is symbiotic. At the end of the day, AI is to make humans be better humans by making machines be better machines,
That's
right? It
right.
is about to augment our intelligence, help us be better at our jobs. The next pillar is this notion of being secure. Obviously, we've got to make sure that personal information isn't out there, that we preserve IP, and we do all sorts of things. We put in the right safeguards so it is secure with our information. And last but not least is this notion of it being sustainable. It's about helping humans make better decisions. And by the way, making sure that the benefits associated with AI are distributed and accessible by the greater community that we're part of.
That's right. That's right. Now, folks, we give you this as a backdrop because this product, this AI that's in production that we're going to walk you through here today, is as one that actually wrapped all around these core tenants without them even knowing that they had done it. So we're going to use it as a framework for today. Now, be like Megan, everybody. I'd love for you to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, tell us where you are, because you're going to want to be a part of this conversation as we bring Andrea Tipping up, who is the CEO of a little company called TipCo. Now, TipCo saw a need in the world, and they thought that AI was the right solution for the job. Now, better than me telling you this story, let's bring Andrea up here, and we'll have her tell you all about it. Andrea, welcome to AI and You.
Hey guys, it's good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we're so glad that you're here. Now, as Ben and I go out through the world telling them about all the things that Rackspace can do, well, one of the things that we also start with in that story is everybody's super excited about some AI, but we try to draw them back to that old Simon Sinek quote, and that is start with the why. What is this outcome you're trying to drive? Now, Ben and I are always talking to these companies, and these companies are trying to drive some sort of a financial outcome, whether that is they're trying to save some money, they're trying to make some money. It's really what it works out to.
Yep.
But your why and the opportunity that you found was a little bit different. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the situation.
Yeah, so TipCo, we are focused on the health and human services market, and within the health and human services market, primarily those safety net programs. So think Medicaid, SNAP, TANF. And that market is definitely suffering from the workforce challenges that exist. And so when your local health and human services agency is struggling with workforce challenges, the, the community suffers. So the delivery of those benefits are taking longer than what they usually do. So we've got the local why. We've got the big why too, because the feds recently released a letter to 47 states around their timeliness and delivery of those benefits. So
And they weren't complimenting them, were they?
good point. They were not. Nice important note there. They were not. So think about being a community member and going to your local agency to get food stamps for your family and being told it's going to be about 45 days. you aren't thinking about your hunger in 45 days. You and your family are hungry today.
Yeah.
And at TipCo, we are passionate about housing and food security for our most vulnerable population in our communities. So that's pretty important to us.
That's incredible. Now, I want to unpack a little bit more around that. But before we do that, let's jump to the end of the story. If we're good. In fact, if my wife Michelle was here and we were to hand her a book to read, the first thing she's going to do is go read the last 3 or 4 pages because she wants to know how it ends. She loves the good story. But let's talk about what you guys ultimately put in place, and we'll unpack that tech a little bit too. But tell us about Eva.
Yeah, so our flagship product, Eva, eligibility verification, kind of cute, isn't it? But Eva is our flagship AI assistant. And so what she does is she is an assistant to the workers. So in the health and human services space, you've got the skilled labor, and those skilled labor, that's precious work that the caseworkers are doing. What Eva is helping with are those routine-based tasks that take place and are so time-consuming. So Eva helps answer the phone calls. The agencies during the pandemic, we taught and encouraged our communities to call. So Eva answers the phone calls. And because it's responsible AI, we're using publicly available data to answer those questions. With a little bit more data, we can answer even more questions from those community members. Eva also is helping with rights and responsibilities and the execution of that, giving more time back to the workforce. And then she also serves as a support to the workers. So Eva really is about helping the agencies with their workforce challenges, supporting the workers themselves, which then ultimately benefits the communities.
Indeed. So Ben, what Andrea is talking about here is one of the 2 types of AIs that we really see in the world. There's, of course, this is a co-pilot. This is something that sits next to you and helps you. Kind of unpack that, and then, of course, the agent-based.
Right. So a co-pilot, essentially, it is an assist. It gives you information. So if you are a person that is on a call with a customer, and they've inputted some information, it'll search out, for example, yes, this person is eligible because of this, and this, and it helps you make better decisions faster. Right. Versus, so that's a co-pilot, right? And so this notion of I have an intern, I have a smart person working alongside me to make my job easier. An agent is something, AI that does it for you. So think of it as like sort of the chat bots, that you go to a website and you ask it a question, it just responds for you. That would be an agent. So the 2 differences: an agent does it for you, a co-pilot does it with you.
Now, Andrew, I think it's important now also to talk about, we've got Eva, and you've just described her well, and I love that she's a her, and we've kind of starting to put a face and a name in our heads around who this person is. But you can't do all the work because the state agencies, there's rules, regulations around who can do what. So how are you, finding those lines around where Eva works and where humans work?
Yeah, so our approach when we go into these states to do some work, we find county partners that we call early adopters. So we identify a handful of counties to work with us to launch Eva into their state. And part of that early adopter is to help us understand what the state is going to require, what guardrails do we have within the state to work within. And then that early adopter, that county partner that we have, also helps leverage the conversations at the state with us. Because of the years of experience that we have at TipCo in this space, we have found that going with a county partner to have these conversations at the state works best. And so we go with our early adopters, talk to the state around security, really hone in on what our specific use cases we're solving. And then together, state, county, TipCo, we can work together to deliver this.
I love the partnership as you describe it there, state, county, TipCo.
Yep.
But if we get into back to the food stamps, and Ben is diligently providing stats for us in the background, call it a little over 12% of the in the 50 states of the United States here. I know we've got a global audience here, but in the U.S. we've got our 50 states. Over 12% of population is on food stamps, and I think there are 350 million
Yep.
ish, round up a few millions here or there. That's a big. I'm not good at math, and I'm not going to try to do it on air. But that's a lot of millions of people that need to be come in and out of the system, because it's not a constant. Nobody wants to live in that way their whole time. They go through a hardship. They need to get verified. So in that process, can Eva do the whole process?
So what Eva does really, really well is answers the calls and answers questions that are publicly available. Where are you located? How do I apply? She can also take change in circumstances. So one thing during the pandemic that folks did not have to do that were receiving assistance is update the agencies on their location and their updated phone numbers. So that information is a significant hole right now in the process because the agencies can't get a hold of them. So Eva can capture that information and get it to the worker. So when the worker needs to call them back, they now have updated information, and that's huge. So Eva can answer those questions, and then Eva, we're building her to be able to support the worker during the application process. So she's going to be able to support the workers, capture the data, and then the worker determine eligibility. What Eva will never do, and what we're not building her to do, is do eligibility. The feds say that is a human function. We agree that falls right in line with our ethics at TipCo. And so Eva very much supports the worker through that process.
Well, and Ben, isn't this right in line with responsible AI? I think about symbiotic. This is an AI coming alongside and helping these public servants being able to do the things that they do that they're passionate about.
That's exactly right. It once again, it's this notion of we as humans want to help.
Yes.
And unfortunately, there are, because of our procedures and things like that, that there are certain checks and balances that we have to go through to help. Mm-hmm. And when we think about this notion of AI is this notion of how can AI help us be better at our jobs? And so I love this notion that, if we can help one more family get the assistance it needs so kids don't go hungry, so they can go to school and do those things. I mean, those are the use cases that you think about symbiotic. That's it.
Right.
That is it. And again, I'll go back to Ben. You and I talk to companies all the time, and it really goes back to dollars and cents and job satisfaction. Andrea, you're solving a core problem here. You're helping to solve a core problem. And we talked before we went live, and you were stating some stuff I'd love you to get into, but it all starts with food. Nothing else can be done if you're hungry.
You're hungry. Food security is so important in our communities. Food and housing security. So just think, without proper nutrition, without food, there's no educating. There's no play. There's no what children and our youth should be doing. It starts with food and the housing, and that's just the foundation. So imagine not having that, but then sending your child to school where they need to be focusing on reading and science and English. Without that foundational component of the housing and the food, the rest is just, it's not going to be as successful as what we would hope for our most vulnerable population. I remember just a quick story. I remember during the pandemic, I was on the school board in our local community. And I remember when the pandemic hit, as a board, we got together and we were thinking, how are we going to educate the kids? How are we going to get the books to them? How are we going to get the lessons to them? And our superintendent said, guys, I'm not worried about math and English. I'm worried about getting food to our family and our communities. So right now, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about getting out and making sure our community is okay from a housing and a food perspective.
It's
And
fantastic.
that was a big moment for me.
Yeah, that's huge. Let's talk about the outcome. So
Yep.
ultimately, what we're trying to do,
Hmm.
you've got these workers. They
Yep.
need to take these applications and they need to process them. With
Yes.
EVA in place, how
Yes.
much time are they saving a day? First, how many are they doing a day, and how much time are they saving per application?
So they are saving over an hour a day just by leveraging EVA. So think about all these workers out there that are processing applications. We're saving them 7 to 10 minutes per application process.
Wow.
And so we're helping them during the process. We're also helping them get them off the phone, right? Right now, we've got skilled labor answering questions about their hours. We need to get them off the phone so they can process the applications.
Yeah.
So we're getting them off the phones, and we're helping them 7 to 10 minutes per application process, equaling an hour at least per worker.
Love the metrics.
Well, yeah, I got a question for you, Andrew. Like, so you had me at, like, it's doing the right thing, but
Yep.
let's get into a little bit of brass tacks regarding, okay, intent versus sort of like getting it done are two different things.
Yep.
What were some of the hurdles? Like, you presented to folks, said, hey, here's a great idea.
Yep.
Walk us through some of the hurdles and perhaps some nuggets of information about what you learned about overcoming those hurdles to get it into production.
Yeah. So initially, because of the experience that co-founder and chief strategy officer Greg Tipping and I have in the work that we've done in the space, we have a lot of relationships in a handful of states. So we went to where we've done work before and had really good success with them. And we talked to them about the use case that we were seeing and confirming that what we had going up here was going to be able to execute. And we were able to validate that quickly. So then once we got it built and then into the hands, we did very limited release. So we started small. At TipCo, we talk a lot about crawl, walk, run. And so we crawled first. And we crawled with our early adopters that we had a lot of confidence in each other and made sure the tech was working, was doing what it was supposed to be doing. And then we started walking. We expanded that user base, and then we were able to start running. So we do crawl, walk, run when it comes to taking a use case and taking it to production. When it comes to data, we talk about good, better, best. And we want to start with good. Good data is publicly available data. And so capturing that so we can crawl. And then as we start to run and we can get a little bit better data, we can do more things. The other component that we ran into is fear, uncertainty, doubt, FUD, and really having those conversations with folks and showing them how it can work and how it can help them. But this use case is so honestly, it's just so in their face right now in the agencies that wasn't hard to overcome because they are in such dire need right now. But we've spent time talking about to the community leaders. So you've got the agency leaders that are like, yes, this is painful. We need something like EVA. But then we have the folks that are leading the counties, the county commissioners or legislators, and working with them to understand that responsible AI, how that can benefit their agencies, which then ultimately benefits their communities. So we had to work through the FUD at the agency level, which wasn't as significant, but then at the county level to get support to do the projects.
Got it. So let me I got a couple things. So
Yeah.
crawl, walk, run.
Yep.
Start with friendly folks that there's already trust, so they understand. Create awareness at multiple levels in an organization regarding benefits. There's two things I didn't hear yet. Talk about sort of compliance, regulatory, like how you handled that, and then talk about sort of like, were there any technical hurdles that you needed to get through?
Sure. So compliance. We're built in AWS, and
Okay.
so through that we're able to leverage FedRAMP Moderate and which is where we need to be to work in this.
Okay.
So that check, we're good. Then within each community, they also have their own AI standards that we've needed to work through. But because we are capturing the publicly available data in our crawl, that was a pretty easy sell to overcome. From the technology component, it was, we just needed to get it in the hands of the users to then allow Eva to grow and learn, right? So we understand that with these Gen AI tools, they're continuously learning.
Mm-hmm.
We focus a lot on intent. Why are folks calling the agency? And what are they doing? What do they need? And is Eva responding the way she needs to? Eva's 24/7, 365, and she speaks about 80 languages. Well, that's a lot to overcome, right? And so intents can come in many different languages and many different forms. So tons of testing takes place to ensure we understand why people are calling and can Eva answer those questions and why they are calling. Everybody has their own way of asking questions. So making sure Eva understands what those intents are in different forms.
So I just heard a really interesting thing. Once you put it in production, there's a tuning process that you have to keep monitoring and ongoing.
Yes.
So as an organization thinks about implementing it, there's sort of like the implementation, but then there's the planning for tuning.
Yes.
As you could do. Okay.
And when we talk with our prospects, we talk about that crawling. Let's get it out there and get it to start answering the questions, answering the calls. And then Eva is going to continue to grow. We are teaching Eva all about eligibility, all about these programs, but she needs to get into production so she can start answering questions. And the questions she can't answer, we can train her how to answer them.
So let me ask you a little bit about that. The questions they can't answer, how do you know what are the questions she can't answer?
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing about the reporting component that we have. So we're tracking the calls that Eva answers, and we can see all of the logs, which is good for us. It's also good for the agency too, so they can see what kind of calls they are getting in, because right now they don't have that data. So we're able to see the questions that are coming in, and did Eva have to send that off to a human?
I got you.
I love that.
I got you.
So if Eva can't answer, it goes to a human.
So another benefit, so another huge benefit, and that is that reporting, because before, when it's just a human, they're not taking time to log and categorize and whatever. No. They're just trying to get answered and moved on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is this a voice thing? So I'm calling and it's an interactive AI voice, or is it like?
It is an interactive voice. So you call, Eva answers. Eva lets you know who she is, and she tries to help. And she's well versed in being able to respond to many inquiries around how to apply. Eva can also send out text messages. If they want to send a document to their worker, Eva can send a link out to them. They can upload their document and Eva can get it to their worker. So Eva can do a lot of those repetitive administrative functions for the agencies. Another piece that we're often asked is, what if our citizens don't want to talk to Eva? They want to talk to a human. Not a problem. Just let Eva know and she'll get you to a human.
Nice. No, you don't even have to push it. Press star for, or no, just ask her. She'll send you to a real person.
Just ask her. She'll send you, and she'll be nice about it.
And will she? I mean, somebody says, "Hey, I'm Eva, and I'm your AI assistant to do the things." And somebody says, "Well, good. How are you today?" Will she respond to pleasantries?
She will respond to pleasantries, in her own little nerdy way. Nice. The other nice piece that we'll add: sometimes those conversations, there's not niceties involved, and what you'll get with Eva is a very consistent response. So she doesn't
get worked up.
She doesn't get worked up. So we don't need to worry about what might she say.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
Nice. Why do most chatbots have the name Eva? Well, because it matched actually the process, the very. I love it. Thanks, Drowsy. So we're getting close to the end of our time,
I,
Andrea.
I, I do have a question, Jeff.
Yeah, fire.
Yeah, Andrea, um, are you able to share who are some of the leading edge communities using Eva?
Ooh.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
who's doing this? Who
Yeah.
should we say they got this?
They got this. So, New York is our top state right now.
Mm.
And we are working with, wow, a handful of counties in New York and also having conversations at the state. So we're doing really well in the state of New York. There's a handful of other states that we're having some conversations, and we're so close to getting those contracts and those early adopters in those other states. So New Jersey is another one. And then we've got momentum in Virginia and a handful of other states out west. But New York for sure right now is leading the charge with Eva.
Andrea, I want to ask you another quick question. And you mentioned it earlier and kind of breezed through it. And I think it's valid to go back to it for just a second. And that is you mentioned dealing with FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I can imagine that in dealing with state agencies, county managers, legislatures, these sorts of folks, they're not deep in the tech. They just, they watch movies that scare them about AI. So how do you come in and because this applies to any organization, how do you deal with the FUD?
Yeah, really listening. I believe has been critical. I actually presented to a community last night of decision makers. I'm actually in New York right now, and once we did our presentation, because we had a room full of folks that had concerns.
Sure.
We did our presentation. We talked about the responsible AI, the publicly available data that we are doing when we crawl, and showed them how that's going to benefit their communities. Um, we were able to see sigh of relief. So listening to them, let them ask questions, even if they're not technical folks and they're not really sure even what question to ask, but creating the platform and talking it through with them to help them understand the use case that we're solving, that has served us well. We've done lots of presentations to county leaders across a handful of states to address just this. And having that platform to talk it out has served us well.
Okay, so set a platform where you get everybody in a room,
Yep.
quell their concerns, and then
Yeah.
answer any other questions that pop up along the
And
way.
really, Eva is low risk,
Yeah.
right?
When
She's
are
low
you
risk.
open? What's the process? I mean, it's like you said, publicly available. So, folks, probably what's happening? Eva's going out and crawling the county website to get all the information she needs, which is stuff that
Exactly.
anybody can go do.
Anybody can go do.
Yeah. Hey, there's an interesting question Drowsy asks, and that is, can chatbots reply to email? There are ways to do that sort of thing. I'll tell you that Rackspace has been involved in helping a few customers who are in call center type places, and they aren't necessarily answering the email, but they are categorizing, sorting, and then drafting. But humans are looking at it before it goes back out to make sure that it's what it needs to be. So there's various ways to go about that. It's a great question. Thank you for that. Ben, closing thoughts or questions?
I'm so excited. What's really interesting is we have public sector taking a lead in implementing something that is revolutionizing the customer experience.
Yep.
That is creating efficiencies on the back end, and then, by the way, is helping people. That's a pretty good story of POC to production, and I think I love the notion that that at the end of the day we're helping people, right? It's all about helping people, and we're using technology to make that happen. So I'm really excited.
It's back to the why, and anybody should consider that first before endeavoring any technology project, especially one with AI. What are you trying to do? Andrea, you're building a company that ultimately has a mission to help people at the end of the day, help them be fed, and that is a great why.
Yeah, I love the fact that, this is not a technology conversation. Let's assume the technology can get there. It's all about org change and that. And I think that's a huge takeaway as I talk to companies about going into production. Let's assume that technology can do it, because it can.
Because it can.
It can. You don't need to worry about that.
Yep.
Let's talk about the problem we need trying to solve, the people that need to be brought in, and let's talk about a crawl, walk, run. Let's
Right.
talk about that.
And if I had one piece to that, you say people that need to be brought in. I would say also people that need to be brought along because
Yes.
they need to
I
be
like
bought
that.
in, and that's the hardest part in any technology, any organizational change, any transformation is bringing the people along because that's what we want to do. We don't want to steamroll them. We don't want to replace them. This is a symbiotic. These are symbiotic solutions. We want to bring them along.
Yeah.
Andrea, thank you so much for being here today. We're excited
Thank
about
you,
your
Andrea.
mission.
This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Now, Andrea, if people want to get a hold of you and they say, hey, my county needs you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so go out to tipcoautomatedsystems.com and you'll see us there. And also my email is andrea.tipping@thetipcogroup.com.
TipCoGroup.com. Fantastic.
Yep.
Ben, thank you so much for being with us here again today. I love getting a chance for us to get out. And, we're getting out of our headspace of the tech and into the real world implementation. And that is a
That's
great
right.
way to have our June episode.
Great.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
guys.
All right.
Thanks, Andrea.
Ben,
Thanks,
now,
Jeff.
Ben, before you run away, you, of
Oh,
course, are
okay.
here to represent FAIR here at Rackspace, the Foundry for AI at Rackspace, as well as CDO Magazine. I believe we have some QR codes we're about to bring up on this. We have that slide handy if people want to learn more about the things that we do here. So you'll see we're also in partnership with Women in Analytics. There's the Foundry for AI at Rackspace. Andrea talks about crawl, walk, run, which is a wonderful thing to do. We say we help put the folks through a process of ideate, incubate, and industrialize. It's crawl, walk, run. If you want to learn more about that, head over to fair.rackspace.com. Of course, we're also partners in crimes here with International Institute for Analytics, and Ben representing the CDO Magazine, where he is helping them on the editorial board. So folks, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to our next chat as we bring solutions and dissect the tech. Ben, thanks for being here. Andrea, you as well. Everyone, we'll see you on the next episode of AI and You.